Hi, my name is Gerry, and I am a TwinTroller boat owner. Wherever you are right now, whether it's home, maybe even at work, in your car, in the backyard, someplace, wherever you are hiding right now. What are we hiding from? Well, we're all hiding from the same thing, that. Why are we hiding from that? Well, research so far has determined that someplace in a foreign country, people who are in a marketplace that sells wild food, live wild food, had some bats, live bats. Well, those live bats somehow gave something to other animals there, and then those animals got eaten by humans. And somehow that came to us. It used to just be in animals. Now it's in people. And it comes to all of us through interaction with each other. Well, that's called the coronavirus, also known as the COVID-19, which is now escalated to a pandemic level worldwide. Well, what are we supposed to do about it? Well, one thing is wash your hands. Wash them, wash them, wash them. Wash them a lot, wash them very well, at least 20 seconds in duration. What's another thing to do? Called social distancing. We're supposed to stay away from each other. Some people say 3 feet, some people say 6. Probably 100 feet is best. But you still have to interact with people sometimes, so probably the 6-foot limit is something you should try to keep. To go along with the social distancing is staying away from large groups. We're in the middle of the week. This past weekend, they told us no groups larger than 500 people. By the very next day, it was down to 50 people. The day after that, it got turned into 10 people. What is some of the things that they tell us to do? Well, one is to stay away from restaurants. Stay away from theaters, places where large numbers of people gather, or bars. And if you can, try to get outside, get some fresh air. Just remember all the other rules to try to not interact closely with other people. What is one thing you can do if you go outside, get that fresh air, get some exercise, do something fun? Just as long as you don't do it in large numbers, go fishing. You own a TwinTroller, take the boat out, preferably maybe alone, but at least try to stay away from the second person in your boat. Go fishing, have some fun, get out, forget about this. Stop worrying and stop stressing over it for at least a little while. So let's do that. Let's go fishing. Come with me. I have something I need to show you anyway. Well, it's a weekend, and I don't like going to the boat launches on the weekend because there's so many people there. So I'm going to fish here, and planning on fishing with my old standby, a 4-inch slider worm, 1/8 ounce head. Let's see what we can get. And I'm fishing with 15-pound braided line, no leader on the front. Well, there's a small bass I can see in the water here, about 4 inches long. I can also see some armored catfish. And the bass is going right there, that little one. Now this is a Bass Pro Shops Carbon Light reel. Happened to be on sale one day and I was looking for one. I bought this. It doesn't say, oh, it's a JCS 40. And I gotta tell you, I really love this reel. It's extremely smooth. It holds a good line capacity. And I've had it for more than a year. This is actually my go-to spinning reel now. Have it on a castaway rod, 7-foot rod, I think. It's a medium spinning. Oh, there it is, 7 foot 6 inches. Here we go. There we go. There we go. And then, a nice fish. Ooh, that's a real good one for here. All right, let's see it. There he is. Look at that. All right. It's 2.66 pounds. All right, fishy. Goodbye. And there he goes. Let me show you this head. The Charlie, if you've watched my videos, you'd see me use this. It's called a spider slider head. And this is a heavier gauge wire than some others. It's a tournament grade. And it is, I believe, a 3/0 hook that's attached to it. Comes all together in one thing. These are Berkeley Power Finesse worms. I'm not sure that they even make these anymore. They're a skinny worm with a, this one's got a blue tail on it. Some of them have chartreuse. Some of them are different color worms to begin with. I hold this, there's a flat side right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's rounded on the other. I go through the flat side facing me, straight down through the center, right to the bend. And then I come out through the middle of the flat, like that. Come out, I spin it around so it now hangs on that offset. Now this is a pretty soft worm, so I just pull it up a little bit and I sink it down the middle so that it's pretty straight. Now, when this is going in the water, you can swim this and it will actually glide along like this. When you first throw it in the water, it will spiral down. And I do a combination of either I let it on the bottom and drag it, or sometimes I throw it out, count it down when I want to get maybe halfway to the bottom, and then slowly reel it along. In both ways will really catch fish. Charlie Brewer Spider Slider Head. And that is a Berkeley Power Finesse worm, 4 inches. Now, it's not very heavy, so sometimes you have trouble getting it out. And when I first pick up this reel, if I haven't fished for it several days, the line, the braid is a little bit stiff when it first comes out, and then it loosens up, it gets wet. But I can get a pretty good distance on it after a little while. I've only been out here 5 minutes. Now I am dragging this. I drag it, pull it a little, let it sit to the bottom. I drag it. Sometimes I shake it along. Like there's some grass out here, so I can feel it touch the grass and get stuck on it. If I kept pulling hard, it will pull itself through the grass, but I don't want to do that. So I jiggle the tip. And like that, it just came right on through. Sometimes I jiggle it all the way back if I'm through a lot of weeds. Now, somebody asked me to do a video on worm fishing. Well, this isn't a typical worm, and it fishes a little bit different than your standard Texas rigged worm. Although this really is a Texas rigged worm, but this has the head molded in and it's designed to glide along. I throw it out and I let it sink. I don't know if you can see from here, see the line disappearing? You can watch where the line disappears under the water. Like right now it's stopped. So I know it's on bottom. So the issue is, how long do I let it sit? Well, if something saw this go down, it's a small item and they seem to bite this regularly. That's why it's my go-to bait. So I'm gonna pick it up and I'm just gonna move it a little. pick it up, move it a little. Now sometimes you'll feel tap, 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 tap. Usually by then, well, first of all, fish don't have hands, so it's got to be in his mouth. Now the issue is, does he have the tail of it, and is the hook in his mouth yet? And some days they're more aggressive, they hit it right off. Then you can just set the hook. Many days they pick it up and just sit with it. And sometimes you're going to have to learn what a feel is. Are you stuck on a weed, or are you in a fish's mouth? And some of that takes experience. And I'm going to give you some advice. If you're not used to fishing worms, set the hook. A lot of times you're going to find that it's not a fish, but sometimes you're going to be really surprised where you were just thinking you were on another worm or on another weed, and you set the hook, and guess what? There's a fish on the end. Now, what often happens, especially with a lighter worm like this, is the fish will pick it up and swim. Now, if they swim off with it fairly quickly into the side, then probably there are more fish there. They want to grab their food and get away with it and eat it before somebody else can. So how they hit this can sometimes be very informative. I know I'm on the bottom. I should have said that while I was talking, but so I'm on the bottom and I'm just dragging it along. I'm moving my rod tip. I don't know if you can see this because you're looking at the sun, from here maybe to about here. So I'm moving it about 1.5 feet maybe at a time. Worm fishing isn't really something you're going to cover a lot of water very quickly. If you want to do that, you need something top water, a crankbait, some kind of a moving bait, spinner bait. But I bet more fish have been caught on a worm than any other bait in the world. Maybe except for live bait. Now every once in a while, if you pull it, you're going to pull through some weeds, and you're going to pull the hook through the plastic, and now it's sticking out like this. Well, the next time you throw out, this is going to catch on everything going by. If that happens, push it back up again, knock it off if you have to, bend it just a little to get some, because the hook tip has to be like here in the middle, but you need to go in a little. So if I want the hook tip here, if I'm going to go in, I want to bend it a little, and you got to learn how much to do that, and then get it in and see how straight it goes. I want to show you a different way to cast this. So I want to swim the worm like I said earlier. Out about as far as I can throw with this small little worm. It's about 11 feet deep. How do I know that? Well, I've put my TwinTroller in here. I got a fish finder. So I know how deep most of this. I've been fishing this lake 16 years. So I'm going to throw it out. It's now sinking. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm somewheres in the middle. So I'm just slowly reeling it. Once in a while, I'll just even do a little twitch, and I'm slowly reeling it. Now, if I reel it with any speed, that will come back up to the top. I want it to stay about mid-level. If I find they're hitting it more in the top, then I can next time throw it out and reel it back a little bit faster. So let's do that again. I'm moving down a little bit just to throw in some different water. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slow turning this. Now the thickness of your fishing line will raise your bait more. This is a 15-pound braid. I'm starting to hit bottom, I just felt it. But if I was to put on here 8-pound braid, this would certainly sink faster and stay down more given the same amount of speed. Now, if I want to cover water, this is what I do. I make a cast like that. I walk about 25 steps. I make another cast. Now, as you can see the shoreline here, I'm casting more parallel to the shore than I am straight out. And I'll vary from one to the other. If they are staying just off the shoreline, then casting parallel to the shore keeps it into the strike zone longer. But if they're out farther, you need to cast more straight out and then work it back a little bit slower. Small little bass about this long was following that right up. All right, probably got a little bit farther out than I did in the last cast, and I want to let it go all the way to the bottom. I can't see my line anymore at all. I'm looking right into the sun, and then so are you. Apologize for that. So I'm figuring I'm about on the bottom now, and the most important time to really pay attention is the first time you lift it, because if they followed it down, and when they followed it, it sat on the bottom for a second, most likely time they would have picked it up. Doesn't mean that they can't pick it up all the way back. And you have to kind of experiment how fast of a retrieve, and the fish have to tell you that. And you're not going to know that till you catch a couple. Sometimes they just don't want it to move much. Sometimes they want to chase it. Some of that has to do with water temperature. I don't know what our water temperature is here, but my guess is it's 70. It's in the middle 80s today, sunny. I guess this water today warmed up pretty good. All right, let's move again. Now, see the fish right there? Now that could have been a tilapia, it could have been a catfish, might have been a bass, I don't know what it was, but because I saw that and I don't know what it is, I'll kind of pay attention a little bit more here. All right, see my line? My line is swimming right to left. There's a fish with it in the mouth. There we go. Now, I hope you saw that. It's not a very big fish, but there he is. Now, he wasn't going to get off because it's fairly well through his lip here, went back through, caught him again over here. I'm not going to bother weighing him. He's probably a pound and a quarter maybe. Thank you, fishing. There he goes. Let's straighten out our bait. Now it is pulled down and it's actually torn the plastic a little bit here. I'm going to take it off without damaging it. Remember I said the flat side, I face towards myself at first. Flat side I'm going to put the other way. Now we're going to go down the middle, come out the side. So I've got fresh plastic to be on. Put it on there. Again, slide this up. Put my hook down through the middle, and we're good to go. I also try to save these as much as I can, even though I have a pretty good number of this bait. I don't want to use them all when I can get multiple fish out of one bait. Fish going after it, he's tapping on it. All right, here we go. Got him. It's a little guy. And I stuck him in the grass, but that's all right. On that case, this one was tapping on it almost like a bluegill does. Tap, 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 tap. And I stayed with it probably longer than I should have. I was just trying to talk to the camera. Got him right in the roof of the mouth. He would have not come off or anything. There he is. Little guy. It's all right. Now, if I was throwing a regular Texas rigged worm with a weight on it, even probably the same weight, an 1/8 ounce, it would probably stick in this grass a lot more than this does, because this tends to glide along like this, where a loose head like this will dip down, fall into the weeds and get stuck. Not so much with this. Oh, I got a fish on. Look, he's swimming up. Oh, I wanted to show you and I waited too long. I was actually walking along the shore dragging the worm, and then I felt a little tap. I turned back to find my worm swimming, and I waited a little bit too long to set the hook. So I was trying to get the camera on it. He's back. I don't think this is the same fish. Oh, popped right off. There he goes. That's a good fish. Well, I either didn't have him hooked good or who knows. I could have gone down and lipped him, but I didn't want to bother. It's a fish. Tap, tap. Yeah, I knew I didn't get a good hook set. I had more line out than I thought. I thought I had it tighter when I set the hook. There you go. Tap, 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 tap. That's the same spot where that other fish was, and my guess is I got the same fish. Not very big, but still fun to catch. There's a tap tap. There we go. Another little one. Now where was he? I threw on the other side of that grass patch there. The wind took my line across it, so as I reeled it back, it went right past that point. And sure enough, that's exactly where he was sitting, right on that point. Now, that just came right out of his mouth, and it was kind of stuck on the roof of his mouth. All right, fishy. That messed up this worm a little. Pull it back down. It's not torn too bad. I think I'll leave it like that. However, I'm going to stop for the day. I've got some things to do. I will probably pick this up at a later date. Trying to show you what it's like to worm fish. I hope you're learning something. One other thing. Stay safe. We're in this together. We're going to get through this one way or another. Use common sense and stay safe. So if you haven't already, subscribe, leave comments below. Tell me if you like the videos. Or push the button. Get noticed when I put out another one. Thanks for watching. Bye now. Scream deliveries.
Oh man. I was expecting music, you know. Oh, these are the
Now what kind of fishing is this?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Oh, cod flavored. Oh,
Mmm.
this is the best ice cream I've had today, Joe.